Welcome to the lecture series of our human resource development. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most critical yet often overlooked aspects of HRD practice, that is needs assessment. I'm sure that by end of this lecture, you will understand how to conduct comprehensive HRD needs assessment, apply stakeholder consultation methods for identifying performance gaps, and design evidence-based assessment strategies specifically relevant to Indian organizational contexts. Let's begin by asking an important question every HRD professional faces. How do you know if the training program you are designing will actually solve the performance issue? The related the related issues of the performance, what you think actually exists. The answer lies in systematic needs assessment, and this is where many organizations they stumble. Needs assessment is the systematic process of identifying gaps between the current performance states and desired performance outcomes. This is not about collecting data for its own sake. It's about diagnosing performance challenges with evidence and precision. And I remember the work of Professor Darlin Russ Eft, who provides us with a comprehensive taxonomy of 5 types of needs assessment. The first, the knowledge and skills assessment, which identifies competency gaps at the individual or group level. Second, the job and task analysis, which focuses on specific role requirements and performance standards. And the third, that is competency based assessment, which is assigned with the responsibility of examining knowledge, skills, and attitudes as integrated capabilities. Fourth, that is strategic needs assessment, aligning learning needs with organizational strategic objectives. And finally, the fifth one, that is the complex needs assessment, which combines the multiple approaches for a holistic understanding. Consider how NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation, conducts the sector skill gap studies. They are essentially performing the complex needs assessment at macro level, national level. In contrast, Mahindra Group's 2019 Leadership Development Review used a strategic needs assessment, and this assessment focused on capabilities needed for digital transformation. The key insight here is that different challenges require different assessment approaches. A single generic survey will never provide the diagnostic precision necessary for effective HRD interventions. Comprehensive needs assessment are ideal, but it is often time consuming. HRD professionals face the pressure of limited budget, limited time, and constant demands for quick results. So, how can we conduct effective needs assessment rapidly without compromising the rigor? Professor Jin Lee's rapid needs assessment model offers an evidence-based solution. This model is not about cutting corners, it is about achieving strategic efficiencies. And in this model, the first step is identify purpose and scope. This involves defining objectives, mapping stakeholders, and most importantly, securing leadership commitment early on. In Indian organizations where decision making is hierarchical, leadership buying in is critical. We have to focus on this. And step two is conduct preliminary analysis. This step identifies current realities, client expectations, and boundary conditions that limit possible solutions. In Indian organizations, typical boundary conditions include hierarchical structures, traditional decision-making styles, power distance, and budget constraints. Wipro's campus hiring assessments, for example, navigates boundary conditions such as diverse educational backgrounds, varying English proficiency, and regional cultural differences. And the third step in the model is develop hypothetical interventions. This step is innovative. Instead of collecting all data first and designing later, they create potential interventions early on based on preliminary analysis. Think of it as hypothesis driven research. You are not biasing the process, but creating testable assumptions. And step four is iterative refinement. Here, you test your hypothetical interventions through focused data collection. It is a cyclical process, returning to earlier steps as new insights emerge. And the fifth step is confirmation. Finally, confirm the most suitable interventions through stakeholder validation and implementation planning. Let's turn to a specific application. Using needs assessment to build developmental relationship like, say, mentoring and coaching. Russ F's research shows that developmental relationships, the assessment requires special attention. You need to assess readiness, match mentors, and mentee effectively. Identify the support systems required for success and plan evaluation mechanisms. In India, this is especially interesting. And it is interesting because it connects traditional Guru Shishya values with modern mentoring systems. The cultural foundations what exist, but formal structures often need strengthening. To reinforce this point, consider ONGC's case. In their succession planning, they found that informal mentoring was strong, but structured leadership development was lacking. Their needs assessment revealed that the issue was not willingness to mentor, but the absence of processes and measurable outcomes. With this, it's time to look at systematic approach for conducting needs assessment in Indian context. If I'm allowed, I'll say that the in first phase of this need assessment, go for stakeholder mapping. identify formal and informal influencers beyond the organizational chart, understand who holds social and relational power, family connections, regional affiliations, and alumni networks often matter in this case. In phase two, go for cultural context analysis. Examine communication norms, hierarchy, and change readiness. What works in a multinational context may not translate it in a traditional family run enterprise. Then the phase three, multi method data collection. There is a need to use surveys, interviews, focus group discussions, and observations together. Remember, Indian employees may respond differently in groups than individually. And phase four, that is culturally appropriate intervention design. Solutions must respect organizational culture while enabling necessary transformation. Critical success factors include visible leadership commitment, communication in local languages, where we find that this communication goes for establishing better connect, respect for existing informal networks, gradual implementation, and evaluation systems that capture both individual and collective impact. Let's now connect this to our Bharat Textiles case, what we discussed there in the class, which represents a typical mid-sized manufacturing organization facing productivity, quality, and turnover challenges. Your first task is stakeholder mapping. Identify key formal stakeholders, the plant managers, HR heads, production supervisors, quality control managers, and union representatives. Also include the formal influencers such as the senior workers with long tenure or respected group leaders. Boundary conditions might include production schedules that restrict training time, limited budgets, and strong union rules. Culturally, the place, the language preferences, the family obligations, the respect for seniority, all influence how interventions are received. Based on the primary insights, potential interventions might include skill training, supervisor development, and communication workshops, redesigned work spaces, revised incentives, or mentoring programs. This lecture ties directly to our earlier discussions on systems theory, social capital theory, and learning network theory. From a systems perspective, needs assessment means understanding interdependencies. From a social capital perspective, it means mapping the relationships that enable or constrain learning. From a learning network perspective, it means identifying the formal and informal channels through which knowledge flows. In the next lecture on program design, you will use your assessment findings to create targeted interventions. Remember, poor assessment needs poor assessment needs lead to poor design, no matter how well structured your training appears. Let's summarize the key principles. Needs assessment is diagnostic work, not data collection for its own sake. Rapid assessment requires focus, not superficial shortcuts. Cultural context shapes both problems and solutions. Stakeholder engagement is essential from right from beginning. And finally, assessment is iterative. As new information emerges, our understanding should evolve. Effective needs, the assessment is both art and science. Frameworks give you a structure, but professional judgment drives application. In an organizational context, success depends on balancing the systematic rigor and cultural sensitivity. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to seeing you continuing your exploration of HRD program design in the next session. Till then, bye.